case this evening is a conditional use permit. It's CUP 23-000003. The proposed use is a recreational youth campground. It is actually not going to be special events facility, it's just a recreational youth campground. The existing zoning is agricultural. It's in the South River watershed. It's located at 350 and 360 Butler Bridge Road. Parcel size, 315.29 acres. And the tax ID numbers for the two parcels are 0003 001 and 0002 040. This is located in Commission District 2. The owner is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and our petitioner and representative today is Andrea Gray. So the applicant's intent is to develop a recreational youth campground. And again, the site is just over 300 acres, Zone A. There are currently 2 homes and a barn on the property. And it's located off of Butler Bridge Road. And the pavement on Butler Bridge Road, it stops just about where this property starts, just by its driveway entrance. So based on the site plan submitted by the applicant to Development Services, staff offers the following considerations. So the site plan and the letter of intent indicated the existing homes will be converted to a new building and other accommodations. And the campground layout reflects a low-density use. They have proposed the following: to have 3 state camp areas with pavilions, food prep, and dining area. The barn, which will be converted to gathering spaces. There's going to be a rural amphitheater and locations for primitive camping areas, parking, and then facilities. So this is the criteria. It's section 510-140 in our ordinance, and you do have this in your packet. So I won't read through it, and this is just continuing the section for that. And in conclusion, the camp will offer a variety of activities, including outdoor recreation, spiritual programs, and community outreach initiatives. And they will also provide facilities for overnight stays, to include cabins, campsites, and limited dormitories. So if this use meets the standards as set forth in section 510-140, campground recreational vehicle / RV park, it should be approved. And staff recommends, should the Planning Commission approve the conditional use request to allow the recreational youth campground, that the approval will be with recommended conditions. So the recommended conditions, right? If the petition is recommended for approval by the Planning Commission, it should be approved for a conditional use permit for the recreational youth campground, subject to the owner's agreement to the following conditions. 1, the campground shall include state campsites, primitive camp locations, a rural amphitheater, limited dormitories and admin building, and a barn converted for gatherings. 2, the current homes shall be converted to accommodations and administrative spaces. 3, improvements shall include straightening out the road and the driveway and the entrance to the campground and parking areas as required by the ordinance. I have 4 highlighted in blue because the applicant is requesting a modification for this, basically to extend the time, and Ms. Gray is going to go into detail. She's going to be doing a little presentation. She's going to go into detail on the request, and they're asking for this particular condition to be modified to have the time changed. And 5, approval and or permits must be obtained from the following agencies as required: Development Services, Environmental Health, Newton County Transportation Department, Newton County Fire Marshal, the Newton County Water Authority, and the Georgia Soil and Water Commission. 6, again, this is another condition that the applicant would like us to modify. And it says all activities shall be conducted at least 100 feet off the property boundary lines. And I would like to give her a chance to express that before the board makes a decision on if they are going to modify those 2 conditions. So this is the aerial view of both properties. It's the one in here and then the bigger one. Current zoning is A, agricultural, South River watershed. This is the proposed site plan that applicant has submitted. This is a close-up of what the state campsites will look like. So each pod has, so this is one pod here, which is one of these little structures here. Each of them have the accommodation for about 7 tents, it looks like, or cabins. So they have one location here, and then a proposed one here. So they're showing 3 locations of those. The amphitheater is here. And they also have several walking trails as well. Parking is up front and refuse area. And then they have locations identified for like primitive camping areas. This is where you actually go and pitch your own tent and just be out there with the animals. But so this is generally what they're proposing. It looks like. And this is just a close-up, shows the dining area, the food prep area, the tents, and then in the middle here they have a pavilion that services all the camp stakeout areas there. This is what the entrance currently looks like. So this is why the transportation department is requesting that they do improvements. Where it turns here, this is the entrance going out onto the Butler Bridge Road. So this ends my portion of it. If there are any questions, if not, the applicant is present.
Board members, are there any questions for the staff?
Mr. Chairman, this is a public hearing otherwise.
The applicant and person representing the petition, will you please come to the podium and state your name?
Good evening. My name is Andrea Gray. I'm a local attorney, and this evening I have the privilege of representing the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and their request for a conditional use permit to operate a recreational youth church camp. This evening I'm joined by about 2 rows full of folks here. We have representatives from the church, the project manager, the site manager. We have our architect, our engineer, church representatives, and representatives from the Ship family, who was a longtime owner of the property. So I'm going to give you a little presentation, and then when I'm wrapping up, we're collectively happy to answer any questions that you may have. Oops, that's fast. The property is, by our estimates, 321.55 acres, again on the far western side of Newton County on the border with Henry County. The church purchased this late last year, so they've owned it maybe a good 6 months now. The property is zoned agricultural, and it is bordered by primarily other properties that are zoned for agriculture, with the exception of a small portion in the northern part of our property that is bordered by the Barrington neighborhood. Again, the property does enter off of Butler Bridge Road in the paved portion. Here are a couple pictures that I was able to take when I got to go out on the site, and I have to tell you that it is absolutely gorgeous. It is just picturesque, and I'm so excited to present this to you because it will remain this way. The use that's being proposed is very low intense, and just a minimal amount of clearing will be done to put in the camp. So you'll see here it's a mix of hardwoods and beautiful rolling pastures. There's the existing barn. Here's a picture of the about 3-acre lake that's on the property. Just a beautiful setting for this church camp. Again, as Michelle explained just a moment ago, the camping areas are broken up into stakes and wards. So wards are the smaller unit. They hold about 25 campers. And again, they have a small pavilion, eating area, campfire area. And then the stakes hold about 10 wards, and those are connected by a central drive area, a central pavilion, and then there's restrooms that will be shared between those campers. Activities on the site will include all kinds of recreational activities, frisbee golf, hiking, team building activities, canoeing, kayaking, outdoor games, you name it, and we want the kids at this camp to experience just the wonderful outdoor area that this camp offers. The layout proposed for this camp is consistent with the camps that the church has across the nation. They have dozens of camps in multiple states. They all follow this same ward and stake layout. Here are some photos from a camp in Alabama. And the photo at the top is representative of the small cabins and then the small pavilion within the ward area. And then the photo at the bottom is representative of the larger pavilion and rural amphitheater structure in the larger stake area. Here again is the site plan, and starting from the north, working our way down. At the driveway entrance, again, we're happy to make those improvements for safety reasons at the entrance there. We intend to have a security gate and a turnaround area, and an area for sanitation services to access their needs there in front of the property. The access road will take you all the way down to the center of the property where the stakes are located. And so we made a real effort to concentrate all the activities in the center of the property and away from the property boundaries. In addition to the stake and moored camping areas, there will also be primitive camping areas, in addition to, again, recreation areas, and then they're excited to make good use of that lake and then also of the South River. So the mission and purpose of this project is to have a place for worship, fellowship, and mentorship for our youth. It's a place for people to connect to nature and to each other and just get away from all the worldly distractions that we all face. The church has been involved here in this community for over 18 years, and so they're excited to expand their footprint here. And they also, again, as I said before, they have extensive experience in operating and building these camps all over the country. My client wants to be a good neighbor, and so in thinking about being a good neighbor, they've taken certain measures to mitigate for any potential impacts that there may be to adjoining property owners. Again, very little disturbance to the site, just enough clearing to put in the cabin areas. There are extensive buffers between where those stake and moored areas are from the adjoining properties. The entrance, again, we're happy to make those improvements for safety. And just the nature of the operations of the camp kind of limit the impacts. Its primary use will be during the summer. Kids come from a week at a time, so there's minimal traffic. There's a day that there's a flow of traffic where they come, and then the day they leave, there's a flow of traffic when they leave. But there's not that day-to-day traffic flow for this camp. There will be some activity in the off season, but not significant as it will be in the summer. With regard to mitigating impacts to noise, again, all the activities are centered in the center of the site. My client's happy to comply with your noise ordinance, and the church itself has regulations against things like loud music, fireworks, and motorcycles. And so here are the conditions that the planning staff recommended, and we are perfectly fine with 4 out of the 6 conditions, but we would request slight modifications to condition 4 and condition 6. So condition 4, we've asked that the hours be limited to your noise ordinance hours, and that's 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. And the reason for that is that we may want to have a sunrise service. Or, as if you have kids, you know that kids don't sleep till 10 a.m. at a camp. Kids will be up, they won't be wanting to do activities, and so we would not like to limit ourselves to 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. We'd like to we would ask that it be modified to be limited to prohibiting overnight camping in the areas that are 100 feet off the boundary where the Barrington subdivision was located. We've talked back and forth with your staff about potential amendments to this, and we're happy to go a step further if you'd like. We're happy to have the 100-foot, buffer on all the boundaries except where the river is the property boundary. Again, my client, purchases property specifically to use that river, and they want to make sure that they're protecting their ability to use that. So again, our request is to approve our special use permit application with all the conditions recommended by Planning Commission, with exception to the amendments we've asked for number 4 and number 6. And with that, I'm going to let you hear from the church, from the actual project manager for a moment, and then we'll be happy to collectively answer any questions that you may have.
Chairman, you have 2 minutes and 42 seconds left.
I won't take long. My name is Blaine Hoops. I live at 4510 Georgia Highway 109 in Molina, Georgia. I'm a project manager for the church. We are so excited to be in Newton County. We're so excited to have this beautiful property and to be able to develop it for a camp that's going to enrich the lives of our young people. I'm a father of 5. All of my children attended our church camps over the years. This will be the first camp in the state of Georgia. So we're really super excited that it's going to reduce our travel for our local congregations to be able to come to the camp. So with that, thank you. Thank you for considering our conditional use permit.
Well, thank you very much. We're happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Members of the board, have any questions at this time?
Oh, yes, well, it's a lot. Have you been, in contact with all surrounding subdivisions? Have anybody, had any concerns? It's a lot. This is a big development.
Yes, sure. I'll have the camp director answer that. He's our boots on the ground, and he has been talking to all the property owners.
We went to every home that borders that whole property, personally shook hands, gave them a plan, and all of them said, thank goodness we don't have probation for children coming. We don't have prisoners coming. We're thankful that you are coming. We didn't have one objection.
And then we don't have a development.
And a lot of them thought it was going to be multi-house development when they heard it was for sale, so they were quite happy when we were there.
Okay, because I've been in 12 years, so I'm right there in the falls.
Good.
And so, my concern is it's still, definitely it's needed, but it's a big project.
Very big project.
Big project.
Big project, well-funded project. You think about it, we'll have children from Rome, Georgia, to Lonica coming down to this campsite as far south as Macon, all the way to the Alabama border, all the way to North Carolina. So we'll have a lot of young people coming to make an impact on their lives.
I'm all for impact. I'm all for impact. And also I'm all for the impact that it's going to make positively and negatively with surrounding subdivision. And so, something like this should have a town hall where everybody was invited from each subdivision, because there's a lot of subdivisions in the area, to have everybody that's going to be definitely impacted by this. So that's my concern. I know the long term is definitely beneficial. Both ends, those that been incarcerated or not, changes inevitable for everybody, I think. But yes, I think this is extensive. So I'm
Here's a neighbor that has 40 acres right next to the property.
Okay.
He'd like to speak to you.
All right.
We have 2 minutes and 8 seconds left.
This was our family property. This was my mom and dad's estate. Over the last 20 years, the church has been using this property. They've had camps out there. They've had barn dances where they've had a whole lot of people there. This is something they've been doing for really 20 years. It's just when we sold the property, and since I own 40 acres directly, but on the north side, that is my wife's property, which we plan on putting a home on. We had the perk test today. And so we chose our neighbors for this very reason. And they've been doing this for a long time. It's just that now it's going to be developed and be able to do it on a more sustainable basis. As far as the other subdivisions, we went through all the houses there in the Barrington subdivision, the subdivisions on the other side, the falls and all that. They really don't go into that side of the Bridge Road because, as you know, it's dirt in between, and sometimes it's not very passable for a regular family car. And so everybody from the other end of Butler Bridge come in from Highway 212 and not from 20. And so really the only impact would be the people on that side of Butler Bridge. And like I said, we have talked to a lot of them, which will be my neighbors as well. And so everybody seems to be very thrilled about it and to have their kids be participating in it as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
26 seconds left.
We'll use the 26 seconds to
Yes.
go.
Yes, thank you so much for your consideration of our request.
Thank you. Is anyone here in opposition to the petition? Anyone here like to address the board? Public hearing is not closed. Board, are there any questions? Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we table this. I have a ton of questions, and I'm sure I need to get with the commissioner, and we need to, because it's a lot to just sit here and one person move on this, make a move on this. I want to hear everybody. This is my first time ever really hearing about this, so I move to table this to at least the next meeting.
Second?
Chair, if I may, could we? The state has made changes to how meetings are advertised and everything. So instead of doing 15 days ahead, we now have 30 days. So if we were to take it to the next meeting, that will not give us enough time to send the ads out.
It will but not.
It won't, because we're at 30 days right now from the next meeting. So perhaps we could, is there a specific thing you would like the applicant to do before they come back before the planning commission?
Yes, I would definitely try to get in contact with Demond Mason, the district commissioner. I think definitely get him involved, and we need to have an extensive talk about this, because this is my first time ever hearing about it. This is huge. So it's going to be a big impact. But all the surrounding subdivisions, I mean, traffic coming. So I mean, even not just off of 20, but on the outside as well. So I'm sure it's going to be extensive.
So that may be for the next available meeting. Okay, this question is for our attorney.
I believe our ordinance says that you have to table it for a date certain, and so I would say table it for the August.
August 22nd. 22nd.
22nd or 29th?
The fourth Tuesday. So the regular scheduled August meeting. So we can take this to the regular scheduled August meeting, which will be the fourth Tuesday in August.
Will you amend the motion, please?
Mr. Chair, I want to table it to the fourth Tuesday in August. This next meeting.
Do I hear a second?
Yes, sir. August 22nd.
No, do I hear a second?
Oh, you
got your motion in. You have a second your motion. Anyone want a second? His motion has failed due to lack of a second. Do I hear another motion? Do I hear another motion? We have to have a motion tonight, ladies.
I mean, my understanding, it's a huge undertaking for the area, and nobody's here. I haven't heard about it. I'm sure other people. So I just want to give the people an opportunity to speak on what's coming, and then we can do it just minutes, on times, and all that. But this is a huge undertaking. I want the people to be able to have it more so.
So just to clarify for the commission, any item that comes before y'all may recommend approval, approval of the application with conditions, denial of the application, or a deferral of the application for a period not to exceed 60 days. But there does need to be some kind of action taken on this item today.
So the motion is still out there. The motion failed. We do need a second. We need a new motion.
There's no motion on the table.
Make a motion to table.
Tell me this, why are we would be tabling it for 60 days? Why can't we table it till the next meeting? Would that give enough time to do what we want to do?
So-
30 more days.
The issue with
Until the end of July.
the issue with 30 more days is one of the items on your agenda today, in your agenda packet today, is the approval of new zoning procedure laws that go into effect statewide on July 1st. And so that changes the public notice requirement from 15 days to 30 days.
Most of the advertising.
Yes, so we will not be able to advertise.
Mr. Chairman, I'm loath to let a motion die for lack of a second. So I will second it and we'll just vote it up or down. I mean, the motion.
All right, do I hear a motion?
Most of the work is made for 60 days.
No.
No.
Is that
No.
We fail from the motion, so sorry, Nick, so we're motion down, up or down, rather get approved. Approve it or disapprove.
So there's no motion on the table right now. So if we want to make a motion as Commissioner Millhouse did, you can remake the motion and then we can have a second and then we can vote it up or down.
Mr. Chair, I motion that we table it for the next available meeting. Mr. Chair, I motion that we table it for the August meeting.
And I will second that.
Second. Motion been made and second. Can I get a show of hands in favor?
I'll vote for that.
Okay.
Opposition? Abstain? Motion been approved. At this time, I turn it over to the staff.
Thank you, Chair.